This is the news in brief from the United Nations. A UN-led plan for Ukraine launched on Monday to provide immediate economic help and longer-term assistance to millions of people left struggling to meet basic needs as a result of the Russian invasion. The UN Development Programme, or UNDP, aimed to counter the devastation that's been caused by the shelling of cities and early projections that 2 decades of economic progress could be lost if the war continues. The announcement came as the World Bank issued an alert that Ukraine's economy is set to shrink by 45% this year because of the war. Hit by unprecedented sanctions, Russia's economy has already plunged into a deep recession, with output projected to contract by 11.2% in 2022, the World Bank also noted. Launching the UNDP initiative, its agency chief Achim Steiner said that the UN remained committed to helping local economies in Ukraine so that people's jobs were protected. The war continues to inflict immense human suffering, Mr. Steiner said, adding that 9 out of 10 people are at risk of falling into poverty. In Brazil, a top rights expert appointed by the Human Rights Council has spoken out against appalling levels of violence faced by activists, women journalists and indigenous communities there. Traditional communities, and in particular those of African descent, face the greatest threats, said Clément Woul, who's the Special Rapporteur on the right to peaceful assembly and freedom of association. He was speaking at the end of an official visit to Brazil, where he urged the state to create a safe and enabling environment where people could express their views freely. The Special Rapporteur highlighted the frequent and excessive use of force by law enforcement during protests and said that violence against politically elected leaders, in particular Afro-descendant and trans women, posed a serious threat to political participation and democracy. Ahead of general elections in October, Mr. Woul urged the state to ensure that all polls were non-discriminatory, free of misinformation, fake news and hate speech. He also called on the Brazilian authorities to protect candidates from any threats or attacks online and offline. COVID-19 vaccines have been distributed to nearly every country around the world in the last year, but more than 20 still have less than 10% of their populations protected, the UN Health Agency (WHO) said on Monday. At a meeting of the World Health Organization's Strategic Advisory Group of Experts on Immunization, they said that the most vulnerable populations in these 21 countries were still at high risk from the coronavirus. More widely, the WHO panel noted that available data indicated that vaccine protection among high-priority groups was insufficient to provide protection against severe disease and death. Health worker vaccine coverage is 65% globally, but this level falls below 50% in low and middle income countries. And vaccine coverage of older adults is 69% globally, but as low as 24% in some regions. Daniel Johnson, UN News.